Game on! We have a pretty interesting Nightelf versus Orc today, and especially up to the top left we have an old friend, Satiini, the Finnish player, has started to come back to WarCraft 3 again, and here on Twisted Meadows he goes up against the German player down to the bottom right, Orc player ENA1337. And actually, like, the guy has like a ton of games played, has been playing for quite a long time, and especially on this account, he's running around with nearly 1,000 games played, roughly a track record of 60%, so 600 wins, 400 losses, just roughly. Level 32 currently on the Northern ladder with this account. And Satiini, on the other hand, coming back into the game and starting things up again. He's currently sitting on level 30, and he has 129 wins and 43 losses, which leaves him at a 75% win ratio here. So pretty powerful stats for him, especially considering that he just came back. We're going to see today if that's going to be enough to take down his Orc opponent here. So now, first of all, looking at the top left, we're having Satiini most likely going to start things off. Yep, keeper for him. Now, keep in mind, we have actually seen a couple of Night Elves starting to dabble with Demon Hunter first again in the newest patch. We've seen that from Starshape, for example, in the Clan War series that we just casted recently when he went up against Maru, I believe, against the human player. So we're going to see a little bit more non-keeper games, but still an extremely powerful hero for Night Elf, and therefore not really a surprise. On the other hand, Blade Master, and we have the barracks, so no immediate like super fast tech on the side of ENA here. Blade Master harassed for him. Satiini in the meantime, Wisp scouting, and we're seeing a pretty similar pattern here on the side of ENA as well. Scouting with a Pion right now, counterclockwise, whereas Satiini has now put several Wisps on the map. And has of course gone into the traditional opening for Night Elf. You build the Ancient of One next to the creep camp you want to take, and then with the first Archer you start things up here. And this is actually a pretty ambitious one to creep as well. So Blade Master will already be on the way, and as you can see here, the Pion is about to make his appearance, so we're gonna have that Blade Master appear just in time to harass a bit. 3 Wisps needed to repair the Ancient of War. But already with the Treants now, attempting of course to take the item first of all, just before the Orc player even has a chance of arriving there. And yep, Scroll of the Beast, and we have the Spider-Man boots as well, Slippers of Agility +3 for him. But the Blade Master coming in right now and immediately starting to steal some of the experience away. Windwalk moves right there, gets the last hits in, gets 1, gets 2, both of the Orgrimmars immediately down here. Job well done by ENA. And Satiini in the meantime grabbing right away the Forest Troll Shadow Priest, gets the extra sustain for himself, and has of course now also make sure that there is no Dispel available for the Orc player to get rid of those treants and get some free experience himself. That being said, in the main base, the quick tech into tier 2 into the stronghold, no shock from ENA either, and the Voodoo launcher of course. Didn't really go into the Voodoo launch right away, depending on how you open up as an Orc player. You sometimes see that you creep a smaller spot first, then you go back, have the shop ready, sell the town portal, get a couple of items for yourself, and then start the harass. But in this case, went very, very quickly across the map with his first hero. Now the Keeper, of course, on level 1 doesn't have Entangle yet, and just through that is a good chance for him, or for the Orc player, to harass and keep it up, because he knows that Entangle is not going to be an option anytime soon here. Tries to take it down a few more Wisps, and keep in mind, those give 25 experience as well. And that's actually quite a bit, considering that for level 1 you need 200 experience to upgrade your hero to level 2. So if you get a few Wisps in and steal a couple of creeps, that's definitely a great start into the game. And ENA is actually pretty annoying with this. Running around the map right now, taking one Wisp down after another. Those bad boys also cost 60 gold, so that's a fair penny that you take away from your opponent. Dispel to wake the creeps up, denies the experience, and of course you have always a chance to attack your opponent a bit. Still tier 1 on the other hand, on the side of Satiini here, who just continues creeping his Keeper, has it already on level 2, and we're going to see how exactly he plays this out. We have a Hunter's Hall hidden on the right side of the map, and going straight into the Ultra Vision here. But with the opening that he has, very likely that we're going to see him with additional production structures and maybe an early expansion as well, unless he really starts to tech into tier 2 soon. But if you compare the tech pattern a bit to what we're seeing on the opposite side of the map, already we're having the Stronghold nearly completed, having the War Mill here in play as well. And in the meantime, still the Blade Master trying to do his thing here. Also, as you can see right now, got first of all a Dispel for himself with the Forest Troll Shadow Priest. Now, At the beginning, it would have been a nice tool to just get some extra experience against Treants, but now it starts to become more and more important if you're trying to deal with the entangle that's going to come your way eventually. But already Satiini really homing in on this. And this is something that you see in every single Warcraft 3 game when we're having a Forest Troll Shadow Priest in play. The immediate attempt to take it down no matter what matchup you play here, because that early on dispel is so powerful. Here comes the Tree of Life as expected, so Satiini is already playing for the long game here. Has another Ancient of War in production too. Didn't really take into tier 2 just yet. And that's gonna become a little bit of an issue here for him eventually. As we're gonna see. Because in that particular setup right now, he will have to rely on tier 1 units for a long time. Then again, if you're a Nightelf player, you at least have the option to be aggressive with that through the Huntress. It's a fantastic unit in the early game. But ENA is now just saying, okay, he's not tagging, I can just simply focus on creeping right now, get my heroes up a little bit and then play around with the Blade Master on a higher level. Has also sold his Town Portal by now, Circle of Nobility for him, trying to counteract any kind of Shadow Melt shenanigans with the Dust of Appearance. And as you can see, with a Circle, that is just like also the boost in damage. And there was a bit of confusion in some of the earlier games and the comments here on YouTube, and one of them was continuous asking the question how exactly the critical strike on the Blade Master is actually going to be calculated. And I explained this before, but if you have items that give you stat bonus, the damage that comes through the stat bonus actually gets calculated into the critical. If you have damage items on the other hand, like a Clause of Attack +6, I kind of forgot about that here. Like a Clause of Attack +6, that doesn't get calculated into the crit, but it gets added afterwards. So the best items that you can get would be something along the lines of Boots of Elven Skin. Second hero in play for ENA, and we're seeing the Shadow Hunter. And going up against an opponent that is going to mass a fair amount of tier 1 units, Serpent Wards are going to be too fantastic with the piercing damage. If you can get that bad boy on level 3 and the Serpent Wards on 2, that would be amazing. Item is actually taken, not stolen away as Satiini moves in, but the Entangle hits the grunt, and that is going to be a dead Orc right here. Now again, keep in mind, Satiini wants to expand. Like, he's working on that expansion, but he's currently sitting in a situation where we are roughly 7 minutes into the game, and he hasn't expanded yet. The Tree of Life is completed, but he still needs to creep that spot far away from the Orc player, and he still hasn't started the tech into tier 2 for himself yet either. So that's definitely a bit of a problem for him. 3 on the Keeper, has in the inventory now a Ring of Regeneration as well. We're currently having ENA on 38 supply. Satiini himself is sitting at 41, so roughly the same numbers for him here. But we're having now with the tier 2 tier completed the traditional Beastery, we have the Spirit Lodge as well. No Tauren Totem shenanigans as you can see against Nightelf, for example, where you are very heavily focused on a radar composition with Spirit Walkers. But instead we're seeing something that is becoming a lot more popular, especially to the days of old. Troll Headhunters, who in the late game then can also have Bloodlust. You have a couple of Shamans in here, so you have already Purge available against Treants, and can be extremely powerful. We actually see that every now and then also with an early Tauren Chieftain, just to have someone that's really hit point heavy and can also like stomp and therefore crowd control the opponent quite nicely. Now ENA in the meantime hitting level 3 here for his Blade Master, having the Shadow Hunt on level 2, huge amount of items from the Wound Lodge from earlier. And Satiini has finally started to also get his own expansion into play here, and is going to start mining from 2 bases here, which is going to be absolutely crucial for him to get the amount of units out that he needs. He sits on 1/1 upgrades though, so even though he's still stuck on tier 1, now taking into tier 2, we're having him with a couple of upgrades here through the Hunter's Hall that is able to at least have a pretty good punch with those Hunters. Owls also, of course, in the current patch, absolutely amazing because they are on a 5-minute cooldown, so it's really good vision for the Nightelf player. And it's a lot cheaper in the long run if you compare it to sitting Wisps in the trees, for example, because whenever the Orc roams on the map and gets a couple of hits in with the Blade Master, you're always going to lose those 60 gold, you're going to lose the wood mining as well, and that can be a huge problem, so that's still a great item here. Talking about items, double Ring of Regeneration, selling the Scourge Bone Chimes makes perfect sense, doesn't have melee, but here comes the Scroll of the Beast as we are having ENA moving in from the side, trying to take him down. Lightning Shield onto the Blade Master, who's rushing into the backline to drop the archers here. Hunters are falling. Khaldor Beast trying to go for a bit of a snack, but the Hunt just a bit too quick, moves out of the range, and we're still seeing that healing wave rattling through the Orc units here, healing them up again. That Scroll of the Beast, on the other hand, massive problem, but the Lightning Shielded Blade Master is just rushing through the backline, taking down one archer after another. The Hunters are falling as well, and currently ENA at 36 supply is just shredding through Satiini. Massive problem for the Nightelf right now, moving out with the sole survivor, the Keeper here. 4.5 for him, and Satiini has by now hit level, ENA has hit level 3 on the Shadow Hunter, and of course that Blade Master also looking pretty powerful right now. 4.5 for him. Good item still in the inventory, and also now of course with the Khaldor aura just doing absolutely amazing here. 42 supply for ENA. Satiini sitting at 36. Definitely getting a bit of a bloody nose here in the last encounter. But as you can see here, we're having ENA now also starting to immediately set up his own expansion. So Satiini definitely starting to struggle here slightly. He's about to hit level 2 on his main building, so we're going to see the tier 2 units coming into play soon. He still has the better income over his opponent, but that last fight definitely didn't do too much for him. Losing a lot here. Could have maybe TP'd out, but he really believed that, especially with the Scroll of the Beast and the Roar, he could fight through that. Didn't quite work out for him as intended, but now of course he needs to switch his MO up a little bit. Especially with tier 2, can expect the second hero to be brought in again, traditionally the Alchemist. Yep, now we have it again. Alchemist just really good to put pressure on either low HP heroes, or you try to go for a couple of units, but immense power play through that. And Satiini is sitting at 40 supply right now, whereas we're seeing ENA just focusing more on creeping, trying to play this a little bit safe. Like, he wants to get the expansion through, he wants to get a little bit more time, he knows he has an advantage right now because he just won the fight, so he's just trying to build on that by getting more experience for his heroes, getting that level 5 for the Blade Master to make him an absolute menace against the Keeper in particular. And the Shadow Hunter on a higher level would be fantastic too. Not only for the healing wave, but also then relying on the immediate option to just use more Serpent Wards on a higher level against unarmored units. It would be great. No Town Portal for the Orc though, and that immediately is an issue because we're having the Keeper starting to attack, and that's a fair amount of peons that are already down. Gets another Entangle in against the Raider actually, as they were trying to cut the path of the Keeper off. Gets that quick kill, and now the Blade Master also under a bit of pressure, but the Orc army is coming. Satiini sitting at 46 supply against 44 for ENA, who's currently trying to also rely on more Forest Troll Berserkers, but the TP already used one Hunt. Not moving out, gets purged right away. Good reaction, and that's another kill for ENA here. Who lost, as we said before, a fair amount of peons actually, and therefore not really capitalizing on that base just yet. Like, it was just put into place, and he really didn't get anything out of it. There's no return on the investment that he made earlier. Now even committing to a watchtower to make sure that that single Keeper harass is not going to become an issue for him. But Satiini now definitely in a bit of a better position compared to earlier. His own expansion was running the entire time, so he has the resources. If you compare supply right now, we're having 45 supply for ENA, we're looking at 50 supply for Satiini. And of course, he has now also the Keeper nearly on level 5. We don't have it with the Town Portal. It could become a problem in the long run. But has now also a Potion of Mana, has heal potions for the Alchemist, can go for additional creeping as well. And in the main base, we're seeing him with the Ancient of Lore, trying to go for Abolish Magic here, because he obviously realizes that on the side of his opponent, we're now not only seeing Purge, but there's the option for also late game Bloodlust maybe even. Goblin Shredder, bought by ENA, and he has another expansion in the making as well. So it's really starting to become to that point where both of the players are trying to also build for the late game and trying to establish a bit more map control here. And so far, things are actually working out pretty well, but now here comes the attack onto the creeps, trying to get that level 5 Blade Master. Problem is, it's right at the same time that we're seeing the aggression from the Nightelf. And again, bought the portal, so he has now a chance to make sure that he gets out whenever that Town Portal comes on the other side. But it seems like that expansion let's maybe just let go. No, Town Portal comes in, Scroll of Healing in the inventory, and here comes the level 5 for the Keeper of the Grove as well. Once again, in the backline here, immediately the Khaldor snacking the Huntress away. First few Serpent Wards on the ground, but the expansion is down, and we're seeing right away that Satiini just like gets out of here, loses another Forest Troll Berserker, and is of course going to lose that Huntress eventually, but the expansion is down. The one problematic thing for Satiini is he doesn't know about the second base over here to the right, but again, all the time and money that ENA spent to really set himself up here hasn't really paid out for him just yet. He lost a fair amount of peons already earlier, lost another 5 here, lost the expansion now too, has built another one. It's a huge money dump for him, and he didn't really get anything out of it. But a big advantage that he definitely holds now is the experience lead over his opponent. Having the level 5 Blade Master is fantastic, and if you have a level 4 Shadow Hunter as well in the mix, that's of course absolutely great. Pendant of Mana as an item for the SH is just absolutely awesome. Here, the creep jack coming. Keep in mind, those two Kodos both have units, so this gives vision to Satiini. So he knows exactly where the Orc is positioning himself and could easily move down here and start attacking this. But no problem for ENA, just moves out of harm's way. We're having Satiini trying to finish the creep here. The rest of the Orc army comes back in. Entangle already on the first Kodo. One Kodo about to go down. Gets purged here. So that helps with the Entangle. But still, the damage is a bit too much. The Shadow Hunter is low in mana. And that's going to be a huge problem for ENA. Alchemist on level 2 already. And here comes the Healing Spray. As the Blade Master with the crits is trying to just rock through the backline. Once again, as he did already in the previous fight here. Again, Entangles coming through against the Raiders. The tier 2 units in trouble. But Serpent Ward after Serpent Ward on the ground. And both the Huntress and the Dryads are definitely suffering from the piercing damage here. But another Kodo bites the dust, and now with the Alchemist, all of a sudden Satiini a lot stronger here. Level 5 on the other hand, on the SH now. 2 level 5 heroes, and a Blade Master that is nearly hitting level 6 here. Could head into Blade Storm if that's the case. Satiini still fighting, sitting at 43 supply against the 51 that we're currently having on the side of the Orc player. And ENA again, just getting one crit in after another, rushing after the archers here, getting those last hits and destroying that army completely. One more Entangle against the Headhunter, but the Blade Master already looking towards his ultimate. 1,000 hit points on that bad boy. And he might not have the biggest extra damage, but at least he has like one circlet, has the Gloves of Haste. There's no claw that he found earlier, but it's still pretty decent damage output from him. By now we have 2 upgrades for Satiini, by the way, and he's teching into the Tree of Ages as well. We're still seeing him with a double Ancient of Law here, going into more of those Dryads. On the other side, ENA now looking at 1/1 upgrades for his Troll Headhunters, and he has so far done exceptionally well in those fights. I mean, especially with the Scroll of Healing that he still has, also with the Pendant of Mana. Once that he gets really enough Clarity Potions in here, for example, to make sure that the Shadow Hunter has full mana, he was going to be able to just like heal that army up throughout every single fight the entire time. And we're even having him just like double checking if there are more bases here. The problem for Satiini still is vision. Like, he doesn't know about this base towards the right. And ENA is now just playing it safe. He's saying, okay, I'm just going to drop the Watchtower in. If he starts harassing with the Keeper and Treants again, I'm going to be at least a little bit more safer. But yeah, quick check down here. Nothing rebuilt. And therefore, of course, we're having Satiini now saying, like, okay, so is he one-basing right now? I think at some point he is going to figure out there has to be another base for his opponent, because there are just a huge amount of units still for ENA, and that's only affordable if you actually have something else. And ENA is still creeping here, trying to get a few more items. Oh, Katka's Gem of Health. Now that's going to be a fantastic item to keep these heroes alive. And he's already moving back down again. And no town portal for him. So he loses the Spirit Lodge down here. And might lose even more. A huge problem now for the Orc players to go to the shop first of all. And then make sure that he gets a few, like one scroll at least. 66 supply for Satiini as well. Now he has surpassed ENA by now in supply. It's 66 versus 55. And he has the immediate exchange in town portals. Immediately moving out. Not even wasting any time here. TPing back. Got 2-3 structures out of this and traded evenly in town portals. But Satiini still has to creep that Alchemist on level 3. Like, that guy is just not doing anything. I'm really a bit surprised that he doesn't get any of these camps here, for example. Just sends the Alchemist over alone. There's a couple of additional ones, smaller ones left as well. And it would really, really help him to have that Alchemist on a higher level. And keep in mind, he goes up against a Shadow Hunter that is already level 5. And in addition to that, we're having also the Blade Master nearly on 6. Talking Blade Master, where's that bad boy right now? Rushing through the map here. Yeah, just like, if he gets a few more Wisps, for example. I mean, it is at this point just 200 experience points away from the next level. And then we're going to see Blaze Storm in game as well. Bam! Insta-kill. Big crit. 168, gets the crit in and takes that Wisp down without a problem whatsoever. Finally, a bit of creeping happening here on the side of Satiini. Apparently, that's what it seems like. Yep. Keeper goes down, sees the expansion, and now, of course, Satiini knows exactly what's going on here. But in the meantime, he uses that remaining space to make sure that his Alchemist is also going to hit a higher level. And he really has to. He needs that. The Alchemist is great, and the Healing Spray is fantastic, but you need to have it on a bit of a higher level if you really want to capitalize on it. Boots of Khaldor, that would have been a great item for the Blade Master, but he doesn't get it. Instead, we're having now everyone just moving away back into the corner, but here comes the Orc player, and the Town Portal immediately used. Satiini definitely not kidding around here, saying like, no dude, like I have to prepare for that final fight here. We talked already a bit about the tier 3 on the side of the Nightelf. Let's take a quicker look at the base down here. Fortress now done. Beastery and Torrent Totem are being built. The Spirit Lodge has also been rebuilt at the bottom right here. So, double Beastery. I'm going to have the Torrent Totem as well for Walkers. Could even go into Torrents as well. And here comes the Shaman Master Training. Bloodlust in the late game. That's what we're going to look at. 2 bases now. 2 mining bases for ENA. Like, he's really starting to enjoy that map control that he has. But he's sitting right now at 55 supply, and Satiini is still at 65. So he has the lead when it comes to overall supply. But he's also, now with the transition into Mountain Giants, lacking a few more items. Now keep in mind, with the Mountain Giants that he has, there's actually a really good chance for him to sustain himself fantastically through the fights once he has Tranquility. Yeah, good Entangle, trying to also drain that Blade Master a little bit. Purge against the Treants immediately being used here. Blade Master, by the way, doesn't have an Orb yet, so Orb of Lightning is still an option for ENA here in the long run. But just look at that Bladey. Blade Storm could be so good here if he gets a good one off. He's already playing extremely well with that Lightning Shield whenever he goes straight into that Archer backline. But let's see how Satiini is going to play his cards here. Has the Orb of Venom by now. And again, at the front line, we're dealing with Mountain Giants at this point in time. The tech for Satiini is through. It was pretty late on it since he was going into an early expand. But still, he's right now exactly where he wants to be. Pulverize already being researched. So Tauren is going to be... And we have one Wind Rider actually. Getting one single Wind Rider here. Maybe just to harass a few of those. We're going to see how many he actually gets, but I could just harass some of the Wisps here. Talking Wisps, this spill is going to be hugely important here. And there's the Wisps already having a tough time getting into the backline, though. First Mountain Giant already about to go down here. No Staff of Preservation on the side of Satiini. Definitely a bit of a surprise here. Expected that to be one of the first items that he gets once that he started transitioning into the Mountain Giants. But so far, not the case. 2 armor upgrades on those bad boys. And we're having the Keeper still with that particular orb. But he would do really well getting a couple of items here. So, yeah, against the Blade Master on level 5. Oh, level 6 by now. With Bloodlust. Damn, 190 already on the crit here. And this is just a monster. Bloodlust plus also the War Drums Battle Aura. That's going to be fantastic. And he's still on 2 bases, and Satiini hasn't really caught up with this. Satiini has played pretty passive here, and he's starting to invest now more into items, getting a mana potion, which is going to be huge. But again, no Staff of Preservation, and that's going to be an issue. Tinker third now on the side of his opponent. Satiini on 75 supply against the 79 for ENA, and the fight is already starting up. Pocket Factory on the ground here, as the Blade Master is just absolutely wrecking havoc here. Moving in, getting the damage out. Doesn't have the mana though, can't even use a Blaze Storm. Tinker immediately obliterated, and then Entangle on the Torrent in the front line makes him the target of all the focus fire here, as we're seeing the Alchemist still with the Healing Spray, and ENA dropping down to 70 supply, immediately rebuilding parts of the army here. The taunts are coming through the Mountain Giants, as we're seeing also the Kodobees still attempting to snag something up here. More Wind Riders joining the front now with the Bloodlust and targeting one Dryad after another, but Satiini is still fighting on here, gets another level up for the Alchemist, who now hits level 4, and here comes the Tranquility, and with those Mountain Giants, the percentage health heal is absolutely amazing. Immediately ENA backs off and says, okay, there's just no way. Even getting the Entangle on the Blade Master, and the Blade Master has no mana. Blade Master goes down actually. Level 6 Bladey dead, as we are having more and more experience dropping into the hands of the Alchemist in the first place. Immediate rebuy on the Blade Master here. Can afford it with all the resources that he has right now, but now also with the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability here. Definitely not the fight that ENA was hoping for here. 72 supply for Satiini, and looking at it, Keeper now still with that potion that we talked about, Potion of Mana for him. Alchemist sitting still with only the Boots of Khaldor. it's not quite the item here for him. He could even think about selling that, to be honest, and just going into additional ones instead. Still a little bit dumbfounded that he doesn't go into any Staffs of Preservation with the Mountain Giants that he has here. But the idea, of course, still being to just get those taunts in and then starting the fight here. But that Blade Master, it's really my biggest concern right now for him. Because if the Blade Master at any point has the mana to go for a Blade Storm here, those backline archers could be in a lot of trouble. Satiini is at 73 supply though, and ENA is back to nearly 70 in terms of upgrades for the Torrents. We're only seeing a single armor upgrade, and also for the Headhunters, it doesn't really look too pretty either. We're having a 1-1, so Satiini still has the stronger units when it comes to the upgrade count alone. PN's going for the long distance mining, but there's still a couple of creeps left, so that didn't quite work out. Sitting there, no new items for him, but actually finds one of the PNs and takes him down immediately. Now the tree has moved. Ancient of Wind is being produced now as well, but we have another source of income on the side of the Nightelf player. It's going to be pretty important. I mean, both of these bases still have a lot of gold left, but let's look to the left side here. 4,000 is still a pretty penny for him. But losing the base now would be still an issue, so immediately ENA has to respond to this. And we are talking 75 supply for ENA and 74 for Satiini. But here comes that Blade Master again! The crits! Goes in and just hacks and slashes the entire time, but it's just a snipe on the base, and Satiini goes straight into rat mode and rushes away to his base. The Blade Master just terrifies me, to be honest. He doesn't really have any sick damage items, but just having him on level 6 with Bloodlust is going to be insane. But Satiini does really well with these small attacks. I'm liking the touch here with ENA though too, because he just like drops a watchtower, so like you have to deal with it somehow. I don't care what you do, but you definitely have to respect that and make some kind of move here. So let's look over to the Nightelf. No new items for him. Has to at least rebuy the town portal unless he's willing to make the next fight potentially his last. That being said, main base still, we're going to see the Spirit Walker Master training even. So for the Torrents, it would be absolutely fantastic. Doesn't have too many though. There's one right now. But what's also going to be important for Satiini is that he takes Whisper to dispel Bloodlust. Now, of course, once that you start taking those trees on the Mountain Giants, you do massive amounts of siege damage. And that's exactly what he's trying to do here. Just like roam the map, TP back, and try and snipe those bases. And ENA just says, fuck that, I'm going to go and take your main base right now. And that's exactly what he does. Keep in mind, there's nothing where you can TP on here. So the closest one is right over here. Fairy Dragons on the base as well. That tower completed too. So that's going to be an issue in the long run. And now Satiini is sitting there and saying, okay, how do I play this? I still have a town portal. I just walk back. Do a portal back? Do a base trade? Like, what exactly is my plan right now? What's the play here? But in the meantime, we're having ENA just going straight for the base, destroying one production structure after another. Has the Scroll of Healing on the Tinker. We're seeing the Shadow Hunter still with nearly full mana here, sitting on 500 thanks to the Panel of Mana and having the additional potion. And of course, the Blade Master himself here also in just fantastic shape. Mass Bloodlust everywhere. And as we said before, the one thing that Satiini needs now when he goes into that fight, he needs some Dispel. He bought items. And that's great, like, especially for the Keeper. Low HP as he is, that Potion of Lesser Invulnerability is going to be important. Double Scroll of Healing and a Scroll of Protection now too. This is going to be very likely the last fight of the game here. I'm not quite sure how much he can actually do with that. So once again, Blade Master, let's keep an eye on him. That entire army completely bloodlusted up. And we have no mining base at this point for the Orc player. That's a huge problem for ENA. He's long distance mining at this point in time. But he doesn't really have anything else. And here comes the Blade Storm trying to get some value. The immediate retreat on the side of his opponent. Only one Dryad falling, but at least pushing him back for now. Already at the front, the Mountain Giants going straight for the taunt here. Fairy Dragons on the ground trying to wreck those castles in the backline as we have the rest of the Nightelf moving in. Pocket Factory on the ground. Tranquility still available and immediately being used here to heal those Mountain Giants back up. Keep those scrolls in mind as well. Scroll of Healing and Protection on the side of the Alchemist as the Tinker hits level 2 here for ENA. And again, Satiini just trying to survive here. No mining for the Orc. If he wins the fight, that would be huge for the Nightelf. But he is really struggling with this. Bloodlust absolutely destroying him here with the Torrents and all those backliners. So many Forest Troll Berserkers now too. And the Healing Spray just doesn't do enough here. Scroll of Protection not just used yet, but the Healing Scrolls are all utilized.
level 5 finally for the Alchemist, but the supply is dropping for both of them here. ENA at 64, 62 for Satiini, but the Mountain Giants are falling. One down, second about to bite the dust here as all of them are dropping low, and there's just no healing left at this point. Scroll of Protection used, but we're just seeing Satiini on the run as ENA is going for it. Again, the Entangle, an immediate perch on the Blade Master as that bad boy tries to get those crits in one after another, and the Shadow Hunter just heals everything up. The GG called, and that is game, as we are having Satiini move out of the game and ENA victorious in the game on Twisted Meadows.